Intermittent fasting has gained some pretty significant notoriety over the last few years, and its supporters claim that it's responsible for incredible fat loss and muscle growth, improved brain function, increased productivity, better recovery, all sorts of things, all while eating whatever you want. It's not necessarily true. Intermittent fasting is promoted as some magical diet when it's really just a way of organising when you eat. And it's often just a fancy way of saying you skipped breakfast. There are two major schools of thought around breakfast. The first one is what we've all grown up with, like breakfast is the most important meal of the day, have to eat first thing, like as soon as you wake up, to maximise your energy and to kickstart your metabolism and to make sure that you don't binge throughout the day. The second school of thought is that you're better off to push back your first meal of the day and have a minimum of 16 hours fasting so that you can maximize brain function, muscle growth, and basically become jacked and shredded beyond your wildest dreams. The reason intermittent fasting appears to work better for fat loss is that it is basically making it easier for people to control their calorie intake. Because if you have fewer hours of the day during which you're eating, you're more likely to eat fewer calories. For example, if you start intermittent fasting and you basically just skip breakfast and then only eat lunch and dinner, all of the calories that you would normally consume for breakfast, you're now in that much of a deficit. So of course it's going to seem like intermittent fasting is the magical way to lose fat, when really you actually have just created a calorie deficit for yourself. The claims about intermittent fasting improving muscle growth and brain function are not very well substantiated. There's not a lot of research done on intermittent fasting, and there's even less research done on the impacts on women. However, the general consensus, based on the research that has been done, is that long fasts, particularly for women, can be detrimental for hormonal health and can also reinforce or create disordered eating habits. The intermittent fasting crowd also claims that training fasted is better for fat loss and muscle growth. While there might be marginally more fat oxidation in training in a fasted state, this isn't worth worrying about if you have less energy and your training output is lower than what it would be if you had eaten beforehand. So you're better off trying both ways and finding something that works for you. If you train first thing in the morning and can't bear the thought of eating before you train and you feel totally fine, go for it. If you feel sluggish and have low energy without eating and you need to eat beforehand, also perfectly okay. Different things work for different people. You might want to eat breakfast as soon as you wake up, or you might prefer to wait until later in the day when you're feeling hungry. That's totally fine. Our main recommendation is that you space out your protein feedings throughout the day, rather than having one big protein feeding or two huge protein feedings during your feeding window. Space them out during the day so that you can improve protein synthesis and you've got a steady source of protein. Pay attention to your hunger signals at different times of day, before and after you eat, how you feel before and after you eat, and you'll find out what works best for you. And you might even find that you have different needs on different days. Because after all, you're not a robot.